Alright, this is going to be day 2 of my series, learning how to trade. Today I will be going over just general market structure, trends, and what a little more into what these candles actually mean. So let's get into it. From the day 1, we now know that how to read a candle. Essentially, we know that price opened down here, it went this low, it closed up here, but before closing it went this high to this wick for a bullish candle, and for a bearish candle it opened up here, it went this high, it went this low, and then closed a little lower, a little higher. So now I'm going to go over what a high and low is in the market. So if we think about it, a high is just a bullish candle followed by a bearish candle. So this is exactly what a high would be. We can see it in the, we can just see it in the market. Like, it's pretty obvious that's a high. So now let's think about what a low would be. Yep, a low would be a bearish candle closure and then a bullish candle closure. So this is going to be the low, and we can see it's quite obvious it stand out. Yeah, so this helps us segue into trends, because in order to spot trends we have to know what highs and lows are. So now that we know what a high and low is, we can get more into trends. Let's go here. Let me find a good time frame. So there are 3 types of trends per se. There is an upwards trend, so there's an uptrend, there's a downtrend, and then this one isn't so much as a trend, but we also have a phase of accumulation. So let's start with an uptrend. I think this should be fairly obvious to most, but what is an uptrend? An uptrend is essentially a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high, a higher low, a higher high, higher low, higher high, yada yada yada. You get it. So now let's spot this within the market. We can see we have a low right here. We have this bearish candle closure and then this bullish candle closure that puts in our low. Then we have a high. Then we have a higher high. Shoot. We have the higher high, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. And then after we reach this point, we can see that we start to get into a downtrend. So if we know what an uptrend is, we can think of a downtrend as just the opposite. So now, what does that actually mean? It means we have a high, and then we have a lower, or no, I guess, yeah, we have a high, we have a low, we have a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. You get it. Wow, I suck at that. Yeah, I don't ignore that. But we know exactly what I mean, I hope. So we can spot this also within the market. We can see this. We have our high, then we have our low. Then, I mean, this isn't a high, but we have a lower low, lower low. This isn't like direct price action, too clear, but it's pretty easy to spot. We have a lower high compared to this one right here. Just favorite this. Lower high, lower low. And we have a lower low, This is like pretty relative, but we'll count from the wicks. Lower high, lower low. Yeah, so that'll be just what trends are for an uptrend and downtrend. And as price action is fractal. I don't know if I've gone over this, but price action is fractal, which means you could spot the exact same things on every time frame. You see a trend on the 5 minute, you'll be able to spot a trend on the 4 hour, daily, weekly. These movements in price are not completely random. There is still some randomization to it, but you will be able to see how price moves, and it's almost like an algorithm that price moves in certain ways, and when you spot things, you pick up on them and realize that you have a decent idea of what will happen following to what has just occurred. So yeah. Now, there is that third trend that I did not go over, and it's not really a trend, as I said before, but it's called accumulation. And yeah, it's basically where price action just stalls out and moves sideways. This is a good example. This just like, this doesn't look like much of anything. We capture like from here to here, price doesn't really go higher, doesn't go lower, it just stalls out in this range. And a lot of people in the trading space will call this like barcode price action or chop. And they're referring to this. Yeah, it's just essentially we're moving sideways, and we're not really making higher highs or higher lows, and lower lows or lower highs. But one thing that you will see out of this, something that occurs most of the time, will be something called it's called AMD. Now what that stands for is accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Now I'll only touch on this briefly as this is a little more complex, and since we don't really know about liquidity and gaps and PD arrays, it's not too easy to understand without using those types of terminologies, but I'll try and make this as brief as possible. So as you can see, we're in this range where we're just accumulating, and we build up these highs. Up to a certain point, we have to take out some major high or low that was placed prior to creating this range. And what do we see following this accumulation? We see a break to the downside right here, and this takes out all of these lows, which are essentially just resting by orders to be placed, stop losses if you want. And we see that after taking this out, we go a little lower, yes, but then what follows that? This was manipulation of these lows. And what are we going to do following this? We're going to distribute back higher. Now, a lot of the times we will distribute and take out some high like this or this, but obviously nothing is guaranteed within the market. And yeah, so you can see our initial phase of accumulation here. We manipulate and take out these lows, and then we distribute higher to take out some of these highs within. Yeah, just like I said, you will spot this on every time frame. Yeah, you can even see it here a little bit. We have this range where we're just kind of chopping around. We take out this low. I'll make it more obvious. This would be your accumulation. Then you have your manipulation lower to take out this low. And then we distribute all the way up, take out all these highs. This is a model in itself. If you spot it, there's a very good chance that if you're not trading the manipulation, that you can catch a really big move. But it's not easy to spot in the moment all the time. So that's AMD as it's called. And now I'll get into somewhat of a complex idea, but this gives a good basis to I don't know, I'd say like formulate your thoughts around what will occur next, and it gives you a good idea of what's to come. So, as we know, these candles have an open, a low, a high, and a close, as we can see like with this one, right? If we're trading and we are at the start of, let's say, a 4-hour candle, what we're going to look for is, first of all, where we open, and then we're going to look at, do we just go higher? Are we just expanding upwards? Let me draw it out. So we open, let's say down here, let's say it's a bullish candle. We open down here, and then we start building up. I don't know why I did that. And we haven't closed yet. No, we're still in the formation of this. What do you know that's odd about this? We've already created a high, which means that this candle will have a high wick, but what it doesn't have is a low wick. And if you notice anything about these charts, is that almost every candle has a wick. It's very uncommon for a candle not to have a wick. And so if we see this and we're trading up here at a higher price, we can expect that the price will likely return lower before closing higher. Or maybe it will close lower. We don't know. But what we know is we've already put in a high and we have not put in any type of low. So once we see this, we're going to think, okay, we're overextended. We haven't put a low in on this wick. I want to look for shorts. Now that's just an idea to keep in mind. It will not 100% play out all the time, and a lot of the times it creates a lower wick almost immediately. And can price continue to trend up higher before returning lower? For sure. But you have to combine this with things. This is hard to say as we haven't covered too much, but you're going to want to look for other factors in the market to really see, okay, does price want to stay bullish and trend higher, or did price do something, take out a high, or respect something that makes price want to drop lower? And that also has to do with your buys for the day. So with that being said, this is a little bit of a complex subject that I'll touch on later once I release more information, but overall today we learned about uptrends, we learned about downtrends, and we learned about accumulation. Not much is going on, we're just trading sideways. And these are just main things I want you guys to spot. Look at your charts, try and find a few examples of each of these. Make sure you're able to spot it. And yeah, just get familiar with the charts. Look at the markets, see how price is forming, watch for candle closures, and just look out. And I'll release more information soon, and you'll be able to start piecing everything together in the next few videos. And you'll have a model you'll be able to trade, hopefully profitably. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.